We are here to do another mock draft. This is going to be a good one. I'm feeling loosey goosey. I'm feeling good today. So we're going to kick it off right now. We're not going to waste any time. You might already know by the title of the video what strategy I'm going to use, but I really have no idea, to be honest with you. I'm just going I'm going in blind, baby. With no strategy, I'm just going to let the draft come to me. So here we are once again with the Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard. And again, I'll zoom in here. I always do this. And I never, well, not, I don't want to zoom in on StreamYard. I want to zoom in on the right page here so you guys can see. There we go. This is a cool tool that, Fantasy Pros has. You can draft, if I can speak. You can draft against their Fantasy Pros or their analysts rather. So 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end. We're going to do no kickers, no benches, no defense. So that's 3. Let's go with 3 flexes, 6 bench spots. Yeah, let's go 8. Let's go 8. Let's assume this is a deeper league. Let's give some sleepers out today. So we'll go Fantasy Pros experts. Everything's normal. Bada bing, bada boom. I think I haven't messed this up too bad. Let's randomize my pick here, shall we? 9th pick. I feel like I've had the 9th pick recently, so I'm gonna click the randomize button one more time. 8th pick. All right, fair enough. We'll go with the 8th pick, and here we go. 8th pick. What's the 8th pick gonna give to me here? And it looks like let me just so there we go. We have Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Jahmyr Gibbs, Puka Nacua, all coming off the board. So we're gonna have our pick of the wide receivers, and it's gonna be really interesting to see what comes back to us. I'm guessing, all the running backs like McCaffrey. We might get a Chan. Genty probably all going to be gone if I had to guess. But, I mean, this really is the spot where a lot of people are going to be torn. Do I take Christian McCaffrey? And I would be really scared to take Christian McCaffrey right here. I prefer him at the turn, to be honest with you, because these wide receivers here, especially Neighbors, who I'm going to take because Malik Neighbors is my guy this year. I think most people know that if you've been watching the channel. These wide receivers, I'm on Ross St. Brown. Nico Collins, if he would have stayed healthy last year. And again, injuries are a concern for Nico Collins. I understand that. But he has a lot of good data that suggests he's going to be an absolute smash pick as well. BTJ, Drake London. I mean, I'm not really sure what's stopping Drake London from seeing a 30% target share in that offense, especially now that Darnell Mooney is banged up. So we're going to draft Malik Neighbors, and we're going to see what happens. Well, hopefully we can just skip that. Anyway, hopefully there's a way we can turn that off, or I don't know. We'll see. So we did miss out on the running backs as predicted, but there's some Ladd McConkey related news in the sense that they didn't draft anybody. They signed Keenan Allen. And, I was producing a show for Fantasy Pros. Not that I need to, name drop or anything, but I was producing a show, and Derek Brown or D-Bro, as people call him, has serious issues, concerns with Ladd McConkey now. And I think I agree with him. But AJ Brown, I think here, just considering what's on the board right now, we missed the running back boat. So Ladd McConkey, I don't know if we can draft him inside the top 12 wide receivers anymore, because if you think about what Keenan Allen does to the offense, Keenan Allen at this stage of his career isn't what he once was. He's probably not going to be healthy for a full 17-game season, but he's still a decent player. He's still a really good player. And, I think it hurts Trey Harris, Quentin Johnston, if there was anything to hurt still with Quentin Johnston's value. I do think it cuts into Ladd McConkey's targets because let's face it, that is a run first offense. And the volume's just not going to be there for him like we thought it would be when he was going in round 2. So he probably should be taken in round 3 or 4, to be honest with you, but he's likely still going to be taken in round 2. I think even though AJ Brown has missed a bunch of practices in a row, I'm still fine with taking AJ Brown in round 2. So starting Malik Neighbors, AJ Brown feels pretty good to me. Now we are back up here in round 3, and we have some more wide receivers that we really like. It feels like the running backs are coming off the board a little bit more aggressively than they normally do in these, which is interesting. So I think that there's a clear tier of wide receiver here, and I'm looking at T. Higgins, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, and it's really just pick your flavor. And to be honest with you, it's a toss-up for me between, Devontae Adams and Mike Evans. And with the news of Matthew Stafford dealing with an injury and being week to week, I think that moves the coin flip in that direction that I'm going to take Mike Evans, and I'm not going to apologize for it. And it looks like we are well on our way to a 0 RB build. So it looks like potentially that is where it's going to lead us. Although now there are running backs on the board that I feel really, really good about. And it feels like now might be the time to pull the trigger on a running back. And I know Jalen Hurts is sitting there, and Jalen Hurts in round 4 would be really nice, especially stacking him with AJ Brown. But if we miss out on this tier of running back, I mean, we're going to drop down to potentially the DeAndre Swifts, the David Montgomerys of the world. There are some rookie RBs that I really like, and I hope that they make it back to us. And I also have a quarterback target that I like quite a bit later on. So we're going to push quarterback. We're probably going to push tight end. And I want Kenneth Walker. And I know he's dealing with a foot injury. He's missed practice. Guys, here's the disclaimer that I will give. We are over a month away from the season starting. A lot of times this is just general maintenance on guys to make sure that they're healthy, so they're 100% entering the NFL season. So I'm not too concerned about Kenneth Walker. I'll be more than comfortable taking him here and getting my first running back, and really what I would consider a hero RB style build with, and I get all these, wide receivers. I think Kenneth Walker, I mean, if you think about what Clint Kubiak has done, and he's the offensive coordinator there in Seattle, with his past running back usage, I mean, he had Alvin Kamara last year when he was the offensive coordinator for the Saints. I just think that the utilization Kenneth Walker is going to get in this offense is I think you're going to see us upwards of 70% snap share. And I know Zach Charbonnet's there, and he's a really good player too, but from all the reports and everything that I've seen and how Clint Kubiak uses his running backs, I think Kenneth Walker is going to be a bell cow. Now you could say, well, the health is a concern. And yes, he did miss quite a few games last season, but he only missed 2 games each season, the previous 2 seasons, if I can speak correctly. So I don't quite know what we're expecting from these running backs. We want them to have high usage, but we also want them to stay healthy. And there is every possibility that Kenneth Walker gets banged up during the season, but I think we've seen more times than not that he's going to stay relatively healthy. And all reporting indicates, aside from this foot injury that I think is just general maintenance, that he is healthy and that he is ready to go and that he is going to be used as a bell cow wide receiver, bell cow running back in this offense. And I get it, the offensive line's not the greatest, but it wasn't the greatest last year, and he still finishes a top 12 running back. So now we have another set of interesting choices here. So the quarterbacks do go, and we have some interesting running backs that we could take. I'm really tempted, if I'm being honest, to take Trevion Henderson. I think that there is a chance that he would come back to us. So I think I'm going to go boring, and I'm going to go with James Conner, another running back that we might be. And of course, Trevion Henderson goes with the very next pick. I should have just stuck to my guns and taken Trevion Henderson. That's who I really want. I don't, in fact, I regret taking James Conner because I want Trevion Henderson. And if you know me well enough, you know that I'm a big dynasty guy too, and Trevion Henderson is a guy that I want in just about every dynasty league. So, but I don't hate James Conner for redraft. I just thought that there might have been a chance that Trevion Henderson made it back to me. But James Conner is still going to get a ton of volume in an Arizona offense that should be pretty decent. So I don't necessarily hate that selection, and I feel pretty good about this team so far. It's kind of an older team outside of Malik Neighbors and Kenneth Walker. I'm fine with that. Veterans can sometimes win you championships, and I know it might be a boring way to build. Speaking of boring, David Montgomery is a really effective running back. As we're scrolling down here, Isaiah Pacheco might be a nice player to get. George Pickens in that offense in round 6 might be another nice option to have, especially in a PPR league. And this is a PPR league. So, gosh, I mean, the safe pick would probably be David Montgomery running behind that offensive line. We know Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get his. We know it's going to, be a safe floor of volume with some touchdowns thrown in there. And I do really like David Montgomery a lot. And I don't necessarily love this player, but I do love the situation. Man, I'm torn here. I could also go with Rome Odunze, but I think I'm going to be boring and take my guy, David Montgomery. So I don't know exactly what kind of draft strategy this is, but we start off completely symmetrical. 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and I'm honestly fine if this is my team to start out, getting Malik Neighbors, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, Kenneth Walker, James Conner, David Montgomery. It might seem kind of boring, but I actually really like these options. And now we're getting to a point too where tight ends becoming a serious value here. And there's multiple options that I like, and it's going to be pretty dicey on what potentially might come back to me. We do have this team over here that's already taken George Kittle. So tight end might be, we have 4 tight ends here in this tier. And I think a really big breakout wide receiver as well. I think there's a tight end that I like later. So we're going to roll the dice and we're going to take Rome Odunze, who I still think, despite the camp reports, a lot of times those camp reports, you're regretting listening to them about halfway through the season or maybe even a little bit earlier. But I think Rome Odunze, just go look at his profile when you have time, size, speed. I know Caleb Williams has had his struggles in camp, but I still believe in Rome Odunze as a talent. This is me swinging for the fences here. I understand. But Rome Odunze in round 7 feels really, really good. And speaking of feeling really good, I'm going to feel really good about pulling the trigger on either one of these tight ends, David Njoku, Mark Andrews. I'm going to lean with the guy in the better offense, and that's going to be Mark Andrews. So, man, I feel really good about this team. Let me know what you think in the chat. Comment, subscribe, like. This team feels really good to me, and there are all these quarterbacks here, and there's a quarterback that I really do like, and I'm not really one for filling roster spots, or starting roster spots. So we do have Josh Downs here. We have a couple tight ends, and we have Emeka Egbuka as well. Darnell Mooney is dealing with that shoulder injury. Man, there aren't a ton of guys. Trey Harris, obviously, we talked about him with the signing of Keenan Allen. His value's you're likely gonna see him fall down the ADP. So I'm looking here, and I mean, in the ninth round, and I understand that Emeka Egbuka is there. I understand that we have some good quarterback options. I still feel good about pushing the quarterback. Let's go ahead and take Josh Downs, and then let's see what quarterback falls to us, because Josh Downs is reception perception, and we have basically our pick of the quarterbacks here. So Josh Downs as our wide receiver 5. Yeah, our wide receiver 5 feels extremely good considering his reception perception data is really good. I get it. Anthony Richardson's there, and the statistics would suggest that he's going to be not as good if Anthony Richardson is the starter. He was a lot better with Joe Flacco last year. So we'll see how that situation shakes out. I happen to be a believer in Anthony Richardson. I know it's not a popular take these days, but we're sitting here now with our pick of the quarterbacks. And honestly, and I know how this thing works, right? The quarterbacks get pushed down quite a bit. Honestly, if I was on the clock right now, and I know my guy Caleb Williams is there, we could stack him up with Rome Odunze. Dak Prescott is there. I mean, I also could push it because several teams have their quarterback already. I could push it, but I'm really tempted. Actually, all of these teams have already taken a quarterback. So that might actually be the smart way to go. And I would be fine, honestly, with Drake. I would prefer Dak Prescott, Drake May. But if I had to get, if I had to settle for JJ McCarthy or CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, I'd be fine with that too. So potentially we are looking at, going with the value play here. And quite honestly, man, there's a lot of good choices here, but Darnell Mooney's, it's not like he's dealing with a shoulder injury. So it's not like, I know this says knee soreness, but that was okay. So it does say shoulder injury. So his status for week 1 is up in the air, but we're talking about a wide receiver 6 on this team, and he's the wide receiver 2 in Atlanta. Brandon Ayuk is not going to be healthy to start the season. Luther Burden's probably the wide receiver 3 on that team. Cedric Tillman, I don't love the situation. So if we're thinking about all these wide receivers, and then we take a look at the running backs, Austin Eckler, Tank Bigsby. Those are backup guys, or at least part-time guys. I think Darnell Mooney is the clear pick here if we're going with a running back or a wide receiver. So we're going to go with Mooney here in the 10th round. And no quarterbacks come off the board, which is, just music to our ears. We could continue to push it, considering, all but one of these teams has a quarterback. Man, the thing is telling us to take Kyler Murray at this stage, and that would be an insane value. Let me just quick look here. We have Ray Davis, Trey Benson, basically just a bunch of handcuff running backs. And don't worry that, we'll take some handcuff running backs as well. I'm interested to know where Quinshon Judkins came off at the 703. Definitely at this stage, we would be looking at Dylan Sampson for sure. I bet you Jerome Ford is still on the board as well. I don't know if we have to go in that direction just yet, but I'm just going to go ahead and get my guy here. Colston Loveland. Gosh, that's an insane value at the tight end spot. We already took Mark Andrews though. Hunter Henry, I really like at tight end too. Man, I'm loving a lot of these options on the board. If only, and we probably need to get some more running backs at some point. Kyle Williams, I like. Jalen McMillan, I like. But I think the guy with the clearest pathway to opportunities is honestly Wan'Dale Robinson. And I don't know if we can wait on him or not. I don't want to wait too long on quarterback. You know what? I'm going to completely flip, and I'm going to take a quarterback that I think could finish as a top 5 option, and that's Drake May. All right, so they hated that pick. Reach alert. So I'm probably going to get dinged for that in the grade, but I got my quarterback right. And again, I'd be drafting this like, or I am drafting this like I would be draft. I'm not playing the mock draft game, so I'm drafting this exactly how I would draft it. And if that affects my grade, so be it. I don't really care about my grade. I care about giving good advice. And so Wandale Robinson does make it back to us, but I wonder if we could. So we're so strong at wide receiver. I like Wandale Robinson a lot, but I feel like a running back is probably the better option. And the handcuff in Atlanta, if anything happens to Bijan, is Tyler Algier. So I think we're going to go with a handcuff running back here. And a lot of those running backs did come off the board. Wandale Robinson did come off the board. That's okay. And we're getting to the point where I think we just look at running back, because we got our quarterback, feel good about. We got our tight end, although Loveland right here, oh my gosh, Loveland right here would be just insane up value, but we don't necessarily need to go in that direction. And so would Hunter Henry would be great too. So again, the mock draft is clearly telling us, tight end is falling in these the tight end position is being undervalued. So I'm going to see if we can get both these running backs. I'm going to go with Corum. And are we going to get him? No, Marshawn Lloyd came off the board. I know he was dealing with an injury. It turned out to be not as severe as they thought, but I do believe Blake Corum is the clear handcuff in Los Angeles because, they drafted him in round 3 last year. And he's a very similar in style to Kyron Williams, who they just extended, not at a huge price tag. I think it was 3 years, $33 million with $23 million guaranteed. So now, gosh, I mean, I'm never really a huge fan of taking a backup tight end, but it's kind of crazy that Colston Loveland is still on the board. Colston Loveland, come on down. I'm just going to take one of my guys and I get a steal from the draft wizard. Man, Colston Loveland getting a top 10 pick in round 14. I don't think that that's going to happen in your drafts. I would be totally fine if Colston Loveland were my starting tight end week 1 in the fantasy season. That's how strongly I feel about Colston Loveland. I get it. There's a lot of competitions for targets there in Chicago, but if you take a look at the tight end position in a Ben Johnson offense, he likes to run a lot of 2 tight ends. So that makes that third wide receiver spot, a little dicey. And if that's Luther Burden, which is probably going to be, or, maybe it could be, I mean, who knows? I would guess it would be the top 2 wide receivers would be DJ Moore, Rome Odunze. Obviously, I'm banking on Rome Odunze here, but we all know Ben Johnson in Sam Laporta's rookie season, he broke out, and his first pick ever, Colston Loveland, is a tight end, and the Bears had a clear need there, at least in my opinion. And I think he's going to be a featured weapon in this offense and a security blanket for Caleb Williams, who is struggling in training camp. So, I just realized we took 2 Bears here. So you could call me a homer if you want to. That's completely fine. But we are back on the clock. And I think I'm going to take another handcuff of a running back who I think, obviously if he misses time, this is going to pay off in a big way. Justice Hill. So in Baltimore, we're going to take another handcuff, and that was a good decision because we had a lot of running backs come off the board there. So we're seeing wide receivers at the top of this queue here. So we feel good about our wide receivers. We have 4, 5, 6 wide receivers, and we have 6 running backs. So I feel like we have good positional depth at each one. I feel like our starters are pretty good, and I also feel like we've got some good handcuffs just in case. And with the news of Joe Mixon, Woody Marks is interesting. But man, outside of him, it gets kind of dicey at that position. There's so many quarterbacks. I mean, we could have waited on quarterbacks easily. We're not taking another tight end. Honestly, I think Jalen Noel has a lot of upside, and I just want to take Jalen Noel in just about every league, based on how that Houston Texans offense shakes out. He could win the slot job. He probably won't win it right away. He's probably a stash. And I'm not typically into quarterbacks. I mean, we probably can wait on him. So let me just scroll down. I would prefer a running back if I'm being honest. And I'm not really seeing anybody I just absolutely love. Oh, we could take some upside with Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt and just see if I mean, it feels like a trap, honestly, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. It feels like he's not going to be the guy. I mean, it feels like training camp buzz at its finest, but who knows? I could be wrong. So I'm not really seeing a ton else that I really like. Maybe we'll go with Trevor Etienne. Let me just make sure I'm not missing out on any wide receivers I like. No, not really. Okay, and I have a plan for what I want to do with my last pick. We'll go Trevor Etienne, just in that Carolina backfield. And now we are going to go with perhaps the most upside pick you can make at the quarterback position. I think the Patriots buys in week 14. So let me just double check that real quick. This is going to be good for the YouTube. I think it's week 14. Am I right? It is week 14. So we can definitely use Anthony Richardson, and they're probably going to hate that pick. Oh, and I got an A-. Wow. I think that might be the best grade I've gotten. And if I wouldn't have reached on Drake May, if I would have waited on quarterback, who knows? I might have got an A. But this team, let me recap it real quick. We have Drake May, Kenneth Walker, James Conner, Malik Neighbors, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, Mark Andrews, David Montgomery, Roma Dunze, Josh Downs, Darnell Mooney, Tyler Algier, Blake Corum, Colston Loveland, Justice Hill, Jalen Noel, Trevor Etienne, and Anthony Richardson. Let's take a look at who liked our team, who loved our team, who hated our team. So I'm projected to finish third. All right. I couldn't tell you exactly what kind of strategy this was, other than just taking who I really wanted to take. I don't know. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to title this video. Who knows? So it looks like Mauricio really liked my team. Thank you, Mauricio. Lee, a lot of people, I got high marks from all these guys. So that feels good. And then these guys, I don't really recognize too many of these guys, but the lowest grade I got was a C-, from James Emmerich Wilson. He hates Malik Neighbors. He basically hated my first 3 picks. So that's no bueno for me. But I think I had a reach on Drake May and a steal with Colston Loveland. Not really sure what this is. I guess I can redo some picks to give myself the best team. It looks like my wide receivers are my strength here, obviously, because I took them, first, and my starters are second overall. Quarterback, they hate my quarterback for some reason. I love Drake May. But anyway, one more time, here's the team. Malik Neighbors, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, Kenneth Walker, James Conner, David Montgomery, Roma Dunze, Mark Andrews, Josh Downs, Darnell Mooney, Drake May, Tyler Algier, Blake Corum, Colston Loveland, Justice Hill, Jalen Noel, Trevor Etienne, and of course we had to take Anthony Richardson in the last round. Let me know what you think of this team. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, and until next time, be good, everybody, and we will see you later.